Right, welcome back everybody. We are live today. I know it's been, goodness, a few weeks since we've really done anything. Maybe I'll remember to close the door behind me so I don't hear the birds chirping too much. But I do have a special guest with me today. Let me remove the pop up there to reveal my friend, Zaz Retro. Welcome in, Lewis. How you doing?
Steve, good to see you again. It has been a few weeks. You've been traveling. Steve's going to close the door. We're going to talk about Steve. He's going to Retro World Expo. We're going to talk about those monitors. We're going to talk about my CRT finds. I found an amazing 14-inch Trinitron. I found this VGA here. We're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about your repaired monitors. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is great. It's always awesome to be back in here with everybody. I know it's been again like 3 weeks since we've done any streams or anything, and I'm really glad to get back here first off. So thank you if you're joining us live. If you could do us a favor, drop a like on the video just so it'll help more people realize that we're back live today. And if you want to say hey, drop a comment to us. We'll read the comments as we go. But first, Lewis, the big thing happening this weekend is the Retro World Expo. And just to let you know, I'm going to pull something up and show everybody my schedule. Everybody's schedule has been released for the weekend show. And I have my CRT Masterclass panel set up for 1 p.m. local time there this upcoming Saturday.
All right.
So 50 minutes.
How long? And how long? 50 minutes.
50 minutes. I have at least 50 minutes, or most 50 minutes, I guess. But I will have a lot of awesome things set up there. It's going to be more of a workshop style. I plan to have a lot of audience interaction. Many CRTs will be set up to show what not to do and maybe what to do. Try to give some help there. So anyway, that is coming up. If you can be at the panel, that would be awesome. If you're going to be at the expo at all, make sure to stop by the booth and say hello to me, Bob from Retro RGB, Tito from Macho Nacho Productions, and let's see who else is going to be there. We also have a bunch of other people like Aerial Aces and Koala Koa with his new Mr. setup. So we have a lot of cool things that are going to be happening there, and then I'm sure we'll be nearby My Life in Gaming too, probably next door to them. So all this is going to be in one cool booth, and I'm really excited because it's getting close to the time.
This is great. So you're doing 1 p.m. Sorry, which day was that? The Saturday?
Saturday. So that 1 p.m. is this Saturday.
That's Steve's CRT display. You're doing that, and then there's a panel as well, as I understood.
Yeah.
You've got those all stars. Yep.
Well, yeah, those guys will also have a panel. Now, mine's early. Theirs is going to be at 5 p.m.
Okay.
I'm okay with that 1 p.m. start time. And it is kind of on the earlier side, so I hope that we'll get a good crowd to show up. I don't know. This is a new one. This is a brand new show, brand new panel for me. I've not done anything at the expo, so I'd like to have a few people show. Hopefully, some people will show up. That
one's okay. It's not like 10 a.m. or something.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you're there. You had a lunch. Sit down, watch Steve.
I went to some really awkward panels at like 10 a.m. and the guy who was doing it was just like, "Oh, this is the early panel. Nothing's working." Oh, and it was just the most awful experience. And I was like, man, the poor people actually woke up and got here early to see this, but not going to happen with this one. We're going to have awesome stuff. It's going to be fun. So if anybody watches this now or before they go to the show this Saturday, make sure you do that. Or again, stop by the booth and say hi to us all day Saturday. We'll be there.
Gonna be good. So when are you traveling to Retro World?
I have to go. I have a van that I'm picking up from the airport that's nearby here. Not real airport. It's one terminal. It's the corn.
Oh wait, the little one? Is that the one
that's
you
where I have
dropped
to
me off
go.
at?
No, it's even closer than that and smaller.
Ah, that's real bumfuck. Okay.
Oh yeah. So it's very tiny, and it will. I rent a van. I'll come back here. I'll load up. I have 6 monitors or displays that I'm bringing to sell, and then I have 4 others that I'm bringing that are for clients. So I have at least 10 in there, and then I'm going to bring tools and display info for the show, and So it's going to be a lot of stuff, and then it's like a 7-hour drive to Connecticut. I'll pull into the Marriott, and I will probably start unpacking and going straight up to the booth and moving the CRTs up to the booth to set up and hang out a little bit Friday. Then I'll prep for the class.
Okay, so you got the Friday night, hang out with the guys. Hopefully you don't drink too much on that first night.
Yeah, I won't be doing that too much Friday night, right? Then after my presentation and after the show slows down, Saturday night will probably be the more fun night later on. Then Sunday will be more chill. I'll probably come in there early and work on some things in the booth and see what's left over from the CRT sale. Hopefully some of them will move.
Sure. Hoping on that. So do you know, you spoke about the All-Stars who are going to be at the booth with you guys hanging around. We've got the panel, we've got yours. Do you know anyone else who's giving a individual talk? What other things are
Yes, let's see here. So
yeah, I'm going to look up the channel, yeah.
This is the details I have for the first room, which if there's anything on here, you can find all this at the Retro World Expo's website. Nobody else is on this one that I know of. Let's see what.
Okay, I'm pulling up the schedule right now.
There's a couple different panel rooms. I'm in panel room A. Let's see what panel room B is.
So Friday,
Saturday is what we're looking for. So Bob's actually in panel room B on Saturday. And I'm going to probably, and so is Mark and Audi from, I forgot, Audi was going to be here from Digital Foundry. And Mark Triforce will be from My Life of Gaming. They're going to be in 3. So mine is 1, theirs is 3, Bob's is 5. He may have Tito go with him to do that one. I'm not sure. Okay. Sometimes that's what they do. And so they'll be in the room B. I'll be in room A.
Sure. Oh, yep. There we go.
That's a good mix, kind of.
Friday. Retro Noughts we're seeing here.
Yes.
What else? Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody, cool. Yeah, it should be fun. The panels and stuff will be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see kind of vendor stuff, what's going on there. That's always fun, and it's basically great to see everybody in person. And I've also done some rebranding stuff. We were talking about branding a second ago. That's another thing I've been working on. And you've been working on that just before this. Well, with Ariel...
So tell us, what's your rebranding?
I can show you here, probably. Well, I've been working with Ariel for a little bit to get some different kind of things. I don't actually have it. But he's got some new stickers and stuff with the logo
what are you gonna make
redesign.
Stickers? All right.
And then... I think he's got a bunch of merch for all the tables, but I'm not really sure. He's getting everything ready and then sending it up there.
Okay. So what's stickers of what? Retro Tech?
Yeah, there's a new logo that he put together. It's just like almost a freshening on the real logo, and it looks cool. So I'll show that. I'll release that probably at the show, and then hopefully we could come up with some stuff to get. I need to really freshen up this space in here a little bit, get it more wild. I need to put some signs. I've been talking to him about getting like some old school TV repairman signs or something. So
okay, yeah. How are those walls? Are those walls like? Are they sturdy? Can you?
They're just solid wood. I mean, it's.
Oh shit! Okay,
it's not even drywall. It's like painted particle board. Plywood.
Okay.
So
all right. So you got a good chance of attaching.
Yeah, you could literally nail something or drill it to it. You don't even have to worry about a stud. So it looks all like that, but
room's already got one big stud in it.
Good one. All right. So welcome back, everybody. Thanks for listening to us go and plug the show or the upcoming thing for a minute. I'll say hey to Chris Brome, Rob Cat, welcome. Lucky Hit 87, Aloha, Akubaku. I do accept donations for the CRT shop sometimes if I have space. welcome in. Ronnie S, welcome back. Rob Cat, yeah, I already said that. Sorry. Smasher Josh, hello. And Jake, wait, long time. Good to see you back. So we're here and
loving it.
So
He's getting some stickers done. Ariel's going to do some cool stickers because he's doing all those beautiful holofoil stickers for the Tap 2 and other things like that. He's got this, as I understand, access to some amazing printing technology.
Yeah, so we'll see. And I don't, right now I don't do much. Like I think that YouTube has some stuff on their end that's like available, but this is going to be better.
Okay.
So we'll just see. I haven't actually I've just seen the logo design, and that was like yesterday. So he's like, go ahead and start sending it. So I will. I just don't have it downloaded. Actually, it's still in a DM somewhere. What's up, Mark? And D Lang, awesome. Glad to see you. You're going to be there. Definitely. It's going to be an awesome weekend at the Retro World. And yeah, you're about to see some of the displays that I'll have for sale as we go through the show today. I'm going to bring them out here. They're in the room next door here. Okay. And we'll look at that. So, but you've also, I mean, we've both kind of been going through a period. I think this is happening with a lot of us where we'll take a little break and try to regroup. And like for me, I didn't intentionally take a break or anything. It just kind of like life kind of happens and you start getting in flow.
Yeah, you were away with the family
moving
for more than a week.
I tried to take a trip and then my car motor blew up. So that's all. It's all just been a wild week, but that's a fun part of life. Kids are back in school finally too, so that means I have more time to come back and stream during the day. That literally happened yesterday.
Right. Okay. Now they're off again. Good. Yeah, I was just on a call with Mason Conrad, and he's a designer, done a lot of your thumbnails, done my thumbnails, did your design. I think your current design that's up there right now did that. So I wanted to redo Zez Retro because it's just terrible, something that I made myself. But he's great. I wanted to keep the hard off motif. And it's nice to work with a good designer, not just the AI, not just the Canva, because I can really explain to him my motivations, my intent, the feeling. It's not, he's like, do you like all retro or games? I'm like, actually, my channel is about the adventure. It's when I go to Japan, find all these hard off stores and the feeling that you get and you walk into that hard off store, you hear that jingle and what treasures are we going to find in this store today? And that's the feeling that I'm trying to capture, not just, oh, here's a game or here's something like that. So, and Mason very quickly, right on the call, knocked up sort of a very simple prototype for a logo. And I'm like, yes, I like where that's going. There's going to be some sort of skyline. We're going to do the different hard off signs in there. So I really like where Mason's taking this. Nice to work with a talented designer. And I was explaining to him that, and also my intent, Zez Retro, I don't put videos out on there so often because I hate editing videos. Dude, I freaking hate. Like, I like doing this. Turn on a camera, talking, connecting with people. I don't like sitting forever. I don't like sitting forever editing and going over things. So I love and I very much appreciate that I have these opportunities to be on your channel, Steve. We've got a much larger audience. We can speak to those people, communicate, impart emotion, have a good time, have a few laughs. And it's not for me about getting the number of subs on Zez Retro up. I'm just happy that we're connecting with people and people enjoy what you and I put out. But I wanted to rebrand the channel a little bit anyway, just sort of make it a bit consistent. Maybe people follow the Twitter. I just want to do this stuff with you on this channel and all these great people in the chat. That's where I'm going with this.
That's great. Yeah, it's so interesting because we've all gone again through these periods where we're just like constantly grind. I feel like there was a while there where it was like you, me, and Mr. Attorney disappearing, gone back to the real world, Roger.
8-bit Esquire.
It's like we're always like throwing things, spitballing, constantly coming out with content, trying to do things, and it's kind of been like I said, like everybody's had a little bit of things change in the last couple of months and stuff. But I'm glad that like nobody's like, oh, I'm just done. We all, at the end of the day, we all love connecting with people and try. Like that's the whole reason. Any of us, I feel like, I know I'm that way, and really, Most of the people that we are dealing with are genuinely just more interested in and almost like connecting with people and like making friendships and things and having people to talk about these nerdy topics with.
That's actually a great point about, I mean, the friendships, the connections. When I'm in the group chats, and I just love being in a group chat. I love nothing more than it's like 3 a.m. and Shank's like, I got this new board. It's a Game Boy piped into a Saturn, run through a 5 times upscaler. I've just made it. It's amazing. And Shank's just showing us some crazy stuff. But I was having a similar conversation with Bob the other day about, it's to ask yourself, if you are a creator, if you are making anyone, like, what's the intent of your channel? Why do you want to do it? And that's why I tried to explain to you and to everyone right now, why do I do it? And when I find the why, then it becomes easier to kind of express that or do those things. And my observation of you, Steve, is that, I mean, you're a YouTuber, but your goal is to repair TV sets. That's how you make your living. That's what you like doing. That's what supports your family, and the YouTube is a lovely thing that also supports that. So if your primary job, if you're full up every day repairing TV sets, then, you know, where I'm sitting from, like, that's a win for Steve, right? Because that's your goal. That supports your work, that supports your family, and it's very nice that you can also do this channel too.
Yeah, it's always been, well, it's actually not always. That's not a fair assessment. When I started all this, it was literally, and this is what, man, I'll bring up an unrelated topic, but I got on Facebook, or kind of related, and there was a CRT that was listed in the CRT collective, and the person who listed it said I had done some work on it, and I was like looking at it, and I was like, gosh, I don't remember working on this CRT, where this person lives. I don't know this person. So, I started looking at it, and then I sent a message. I was like, I didn't really find this, but eventually I found it. I did work on it, but in the comments, it was like, there was this old guy in there, and he commented, why would that's funny that you would advertise that you got a YouTuber with no education, the wrong tools, just does recaps on everything. Just like dogging my whole setup here, and like, you know, just talking trash, like, why would you? He doesn't know how to find faults or anything. And I was like, man, what an awesome comment from this guy, and so I was like, you know, we all got to start somewhere. And then he got real pissed off. It was like, I have 35 years experience. And we're like, dude, why haven't you shared the experience? You could have literally been me if you would have done this. I started 8 years ago, literally because no one had put any documentation out there, really. And that this has all been my knowledge of growing, like, through this channel. So yeah, you can go back and watch like my first couple of videos and say, yeah, this guy just recaps everything, doesn't know how to fix anything. And that's absolutely true. And it's like, this has been, it flipped from where this was my hobby, was just starting to work on the TVs and the CRTs, and I would find out things about them, and I wanted to share them online. That's what I thought I could contribute to the retro community, which really, I was at this point a viewer and a connoisseur and like a huge admirer of a lot of the people now that I work with. And I was like, how could I contribute? No one was doing anything on CRTs. I really loved them, started doing it like that, and then grew from there to where now it's 8-10 years later, and I have that's what I'm doing. And YouTube has gotten me to this point, and now it's like, at this point, the YouTube, it's all still an ecosystem, but yeah, I'm spending way more time actually doing what I was, you know, beginning to learn through YouTube. It's kind of a weird journey.
It is, and that you're so teaching, right? You're honest, and there's that genuineness. And I mean, I guess I don't understand internet toxicity. Like, okay, someone's got the 35 years experience, like, cool, man. Like, I don't understand. If I'm some super experienced dude, I don't understand why someone else doing something takes away from me. Like, that's like, oh, just so that's great. You have more experience. Awesome. Oh, you're doing, like, if you do some activity, that doesn't take away from me. We don't affect each other. So, I mean, just speaks to some people clearly have, and like, the reason I'm going on about this because I've been following this project where these very talented dudes are porting Grand Theft Auto 3 to the Dreamcast. They're doing this amazing work, and they're very much like you. They're documenting every step along the way. It's unknown thing. It's never been done before. It was never done by, and then for some reason, there's PlayStation groupies who are like, it's terrible. Like they're so negative. Oh, the PlayStation was better. Oh, it's going to be shit. And I'm like, why do you care? Why are you so invested in your personality that someone else does something and that takes away of your enjoyment of a 20-year-old video game? It doesn't. You're just broadcasting your insecurities, dude. Well, that's all it says. I don't understand it.
A lot of us have an issue already where we've talked about this many times of almost feeling like in this space, imposter syndrome already, right? Where we're doing things and we're trying now to speak to things where we're not like, we've quasi become experts on things just by the fact of our research kind of being out there and growing through this stuff. That you flip side that, and then you think about somebody who has a ton of experience, probably knows 1,000 things that would help all of us. And the contribution instead is to like be a gatekeeper to like try to impose some kind of mental block on me where I'm like, I'm already questioning what I'm doing. I'm like, oh man, now it's stupid. It's like this expert's calling me out saying these things. And it's like, I've never tried to hide anything like what I do. I've never said that I was technically trained in any of this stuff. There's no like school to go to learn about CRTs or anything like that. And the idea that when we get into this, we need to get past this whole like thing of I have more knowledge than you and you exploring this topic and maybe making some mistakes along the way is a bad thing that people like. It's probably from a place of jealousy. I don't know. But at the end, it's like, it's not a good thing. It makes people that are actually trying to do things question themselves and put, however they respond to that, it's going to be different. I think that's like a lot of people will step away from our scene in whatever like little niche they're working in because the social media pressure, I think, gets to them differently than it does a lot of us. Like Bob's here and I can't like anything I've gotten times that X probably 100, and that's what Bob's had to deal with, right? Same level of things. It's, and it's going to happen, I guess, when you're out there on the internet.
Yeah, it is. But okay, so let's go to the chat a little bit. So Rad Rat was talking about, he's looking particularly for a 1702. Now, is that referring to the Commodore monitor?
Oh, yeah.
I
don't have the 1702, but I do have the second best thing. That's that JVC. That's the copy of the 1702.
Oh,
I will have that one there for sale, but it's not the 1702, but it is the JVC version of the 1702. I'll pull them all out here in a second, look at them real quick.
Right, yeah, let's look at it, because we looked at that a lot on the last stream. That's what you really took us through that there. So, okay, Rad Rat, if you really want to get in, maybe you got to contact Steve if you want. That's probably the closest you're going to get to the 1702 is that JVC.
Yeah, I don't have a 1702 redone right now, but yeah, Mohammed, I know you're looking for that. I'll just grab some of them and show them off.
Yeah, let's start looking at these.
There's already some that we like looked at before, so I probably won't hook those up. I may hook up the other two, or like at least one of these cool ones that I just got done.
No. So we're going to look at here. These are the monitors that Steve is taking to Retro World Expo. He's taking those smaller ones because can't haul around those big ass 27s and bigger. So yeah, last stream we just looked at a few. Here we go. Look at he's got it here. Oh, that's the 1702 replacement, I think.
All right, so this is the JVC.
Right, that you were just talking
about. And the cool thing about this one is I got my buddy Kaitor from Kaitor Industries to do it. I can't do good 3D prints, so now I'm glad I have a couple people that will do them for me on demand. And he's pretty much the one. And then, so I got this awesome Like it didn't have this pull down.
Oh yeah, yeah. The flap has been made,
and we couldn't match the color on the beige, so I went with a good black, which is the bezel and the JVC. So it looks really great. And I mean,
it really
fits perfectly. It looks awesome. So this one's been completely recapped, adjusted. It's fantastic shape, and it is just like that JVC, or just like that 1702. So that's the first one. So I'll go but this is the one that we have talked about a lot, and I've actually, the last video on the channel is about this one.
We went through that already. Yeah. So going to Rad Rat in the chat, I know you're very interested in the 1702 specifically. So the way Steve works is that you got to sign up for his patron, and then you contact him through the patron. And the patron is there because there's a bit of a waiting list, and also helps those people that are just sort of kicking tires, and helps to filter out the people who are a little bit more serious. So the process is go to Steve's patron, sign up there, contact him through the patron, and then you can speak about that. Now, and I won't speak too far out of line for Steve, but yes, he has the possibility to ship him monitors. You want to double check with him because we want to make sure how are they being shipped. We've talked a lot on this show about using U-ship, which is an excellent way to ship, but can be inconsistent because it relies on individual drivers going back and forth. So a few of the stars would need to align, Red Rat, but in theory, yes, that is possible. Steve, I was just explaining your process, how people can contact you, go through the patron. That's where they can contact you to speak about getting monitors sent, work done, all that sort of stuff.
Thanks for the super chat, Jake. Yeah, you bought the 1340. I'm glad it's still doing well. That's awesome. He said, I don't know anyone more qualified to work on CRTs than you, LOL. I know a couple people, like Save on Pat's probably more qualified, absolutely. But I don't know. I do show everything I do, so it depends what the job is. My 1340 I bought from you is still incredible. Can't wait till I can afford a 20-inch PVM, right? Whew, those things are getting expensive. All right.
That's right. Yep, go. What do we got?
Yeah. Now this one is awesome. I just finished this yesterday. I did a cap kit on it, and it's the Toshiba flat screen, and it has an awesome. Ooh, you can't see on that camera. Oh gosh, we're gonna use over this other. We're gonna switch over to two cameras.
Is it a big, ugly European plug?
We got a SCART. We got a SCART. We got a SCART. So, man, I'm like, I'm going to show some awesome, I took some incredible photos of this, by the way, this particular, let's do that. There we go. So this is like, this one was super.
Oh, it's beautiful. So ugly.
Dude.
So big.
This thing is like, I don't even want, I built this and I was like, I don't want to sell it. It's so awesome. Look at it. It's a TV. It does freaking everything, dude. RF, S-video, composite, component, RGB SCART, baby. All the goody stuff. This is a 2000 and I think it's a 3. If I remember correctly. Yes. Late 2003 Toshiba. And I've been working through a bunch of these, and I found out that they started doing the lead-free solder in the 45s. So anything 44 or below are still way awesome, better quality made because they have leaded solder. Yep. So that's an awesome difference. And then this one, I'll plug it up in a second. And to speak to that a little
bit, my limited knowledge of that is lead-free solder, while apparently better for the environment, is much harder to work with, makes it much harder to work on. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, and it breaks down much quicker without lead in it.
So you've got everything here. You got that beautiful SCART. So SCART is a European standard, actually a French standard. It was created by pan-European. Usually you find every set that I find here in Euro communism zone has a SCART on it. If it's not just composite, which is actually pretty rare. But it's very rare to see SCART in the United States of capitalism. And for you, it's just been a convenient plug to get RGB, I guess, for you, because you've put this RGB mod into it.
Yeah.
What compelled you? It's already got components. So what compelled you to do the RGB mod on it?
So this has really been something that's been blowing me away. But these things have a, they do all this. Some of these TVs, like these specifically, will do a processing to the component video.
Oh yeah.
And it causes the color like to bleed a little bit. So when you and I showed this in the last video I had in the RGB mod section at the beginning, that you could see the difference where it was affecting everything, because it was a bleed that would bleed through and then you'd lose sharpness. So the RGB image comes through sharper. And I think the other cool thing about it is now you have an actual remote, you know? Like you got an actual remote. You don't have to like, it's not it's like, I don't know, man. It's like borderline BVM or PVM. What do you want? Do you like the ease of a TV? You get better audio too, I guess.
Right. You got those
So
speakers built in.
That's all good. Let's see here. There we go. So that's RGB through the SCART right there. I'll set something up, and then while it's warming up and stuff, we will go through. I want to show some of these pictures of this mod. It was so fun. I recorded a video on it too, and I mean I went like super. I actually went and recorded the process of me removing all the SMD components on the board, like filmed it super close, and.
So that was part of adding this RGB mux.
Yeah, I'm going
mod
to show
chip,
you.
essentially.
Right. So we'll go over there, try to put that back like that for a second. And then while I do that, I'll pull this photo album up, and then we'll take a look at those. So this has become, I think this Toshiba is an awesome set, really. If you get, and the funny thing is, it's like the same process. It has like the same circuit board for 3 or 4 years. So it's not, there's no difference in the RGB mod or even the cap kit. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's start with, we're going to pull over this
Jake
file
is asking, when you put this mod in, is it darker or not? Or are the colors
No, it's not darker. That's not darker. And I'll talk a little bit about how I did this one, because I did find one difference between the couple of the chassis. All right. So let's switch back over to the other scene. And then I'm going to pull the file folder over here to my screen. And we'll take a look at it and see what we've got.
Steve's CRT porno folder.
We'll just start from the beginning here, and I'll stream through them quickly, and I'll actually expand you over everything.
Yeah, you want to make a full screen or something.
There we go. And so there's obviously the set. Before, see, no SCART input. It was very dirty. And there's the cap. Yeah, it's just all a single board package pretty much. So power, that's all the caps that were removed for power, deflection, and neck board. And then I don't change audio caps. I do change the cut. There's like 5 big caps in there that I'll change out, but the rest of them are small and aren't bad ever. So this is the underside of the board. This is where you have to get to once you're done everything. You get to this part to install the actual mod. Let's get in here. This is after I've done the recap and tested it. Okay. This is so we're looking back at that board. This is a better picture. And well, let me get this and open. Where is it? Okay, if we look at this picture too, this is over this cluster that we're looking at it's right here. Okay. Like that's the area. I could tell there's 3 capacitors right here. It's between these 2 chips, and there's 3 capacitors right here to refer to. And then These are all the components that you have to remove. There's 6 of them. Okay.
So when you were adding this RGB mod chip essentially to this, were there specific instructions for this set, or do you have to work out where those lines are?
Yeah, no. That's the thing. Thankfully, there's people smarter than me that have read these diagrams and have come up with this. These directions are published with the kit. Like there's a version of them, and I've actually gone in and I've done a couple things differently versus their directions, and I'll show that, and I also try to take these higher resolution photos maybe to be more helpful, and I'm going to write up something with it. So this is
okay. So that's why you were saying earlier it's significant that a whole bunch of these Toshibas all have the same circuit board. Now I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
because then they can all
like this process is the same for them. It's like you have to do this pretty much each time. So you remove those 6 surface mount components. I might show a little bit of that clip here in a little bit, but this is just a picture. I just try to take a couple good pictures of that for if I wanted, when I write a guide, I can show kind of what where you go to inject that. Because see, those are the points that you inject, like blue, red, green. And this right here is the blanking signal. Orange is a ground. So that, like there was no ground install here. I added that because there's a couple ground cables on a SCART head. So like I went ahead and added that additional ground because that's a ground point right there.
Sure. Yeah, my experience wiring and rewiring SCART cables is usually the grounds are like can all be just put together. Like
right, it's all looped together eventually, but it does help having like I want to have a better chance to have a cleaner signal. So adding another ground near all those video points is pretty good. You've already got it there, and but yeah, it all loops together. The whole set loops on the ground. So you're going to go over here to get in your audio and video input on the board. This is the opposite side, and this is where you're going to inject things like your both your left and right audio for the SCART head come in here and connect to these 2 points. I'll show you in a second. And then you're going to have a additional composite video ground you're going to use for your sync ground, basically, kind of. But again, it's on a loop. And then you're going to connect right here for composite video, for sync, and then right here for, I use that for audio ground. Yep. So there you go. Like that's all connected. I probably have a better photograph than that. Yeah, there's a better.
So the inputs that the TV can kind of natively do, the audio, composite, and the ground, you just sort of connect them at the easiest source, which is basically where the plugs are.
Yeah, and then that way it'll feed off of what I believe it's set up here to do is like inject that to a point where it syncs up on the same line as the, like when it's on the input for component video. So I believe that might be what we're connecting to on this one is that same. Again, this has all been figured out, thankfully. Somebody else basically put where to put these points exactly. So then I use the dreaded illegal hot glue to secure cabling. I also have a connector here, bridge, to prevent that from moving. Same thing down here, a nice glob of it. But that's all there. And then there's the MUX installed, that SCART thing.
Right.
So that way it all keeps out of the way. I did have to cut that.
A SCART input, and then has it got some chips on that MUX board to do some stuff?
Yeah, it's got no chips. It's just got, so you're going to have the MUX board. I don't think I have pictures of the MUX board, so let me close that. And then we'll move that down, and then we'll go back to like side by side here in a second if I can get the camera to move over for me.
There we go. We'll go back to side by side. Okay, so the MUX board is basically just injecting the raw signals into the board at the correct spots.
Yeah, and then it's giving you attunement. So you're terminating your signal on there with 75 ohm resistors. So you have to add 3 75 ohm resistors generally, and then you have resistors in line for the color signals to soften that maybe. And if you got the wrong resistors, it might come in dimmer. But see, this set called for like 750 ohm resistors. I only had 1,000 ohm. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's going to work, but it actually worked fine. Like, it didn't impede it enough to make any difference. It was, if anything, it should have gotten darker, but it didn't.
Right,
it
that's a higher impedance.
Right. So it didn't. It didn't hurt it at all. So I wasn't concerned about that. And then you have to put a diode in, and then there's a different setup. This one just needed a jumper wire only, and that way you're doing the mux part where it's like injecting and hijacking the OSD and injecting your RGB over that input so you can see it on the screen. So for just a little bit more fun, yeah, let's see. Just to when Mark was asking about working with leaded solder, it's a pain in the neck. Sometimes you actually have to like remove the solder entirely, like reflow it with fresh solder, and then it generally doesn't bond well. So then you reflow it, and then you remove it, the old crap altogether, and then reintroduce good solder. Like, that's the best way to deal with it. But that is extremely time consuming on a board with that many poor parts. You know, that's basically not foreseeably doable most of the time. Let's see if we can find. So this is the SCART head. Let me show you that.
All right, I'm using the SCART.
Okay. So, okay, this is a nice board. So it just makes it a little bit easier to wire it in. The SCART head allows you to put the resistors on the board a little easier. Okay.
So that's what it comes to. It looks like this. And then you'll go by the guide on the page with your television. You go in there, you find your television, you get this kit, and it says you need these parts, and then you can use it. It's numbered right there, and you just have to put them in and solder it. And I'll show you what mine looked like here in a second, because I do a bloop over. So if we look at here, again, this will be detailed in an actual video, but there's like a diode you have to install, and then the resistors. Now, since I didn't know if I was using different resistors, I put them in backwards in case I had to remove them. Like I told you, I was using 1000s, and it's much easier to remove them from that side than the other side. So that's what they're in backwards for. But that all worked fine. But
cool.
Let's see if we could show anything else interesting on here. So yeah, there's again a look at that board area I was explaining. Like, there's the chipset, and those are the parts you have to remove. So that can be probably one of the more intimidating, I'd guess, processes, is actually doing that. But if you just sit there and like, you don't have to even do much. We'll just watch this for a second. If it'll let me. No, I don't think I can zoom in anymore. But if you have good iron and you just literally keep heating it on both sides, and then if you do it quick enough, it'll just lift up on its, like that. See, it just lifts up on its own. Yeah. And then you come back. You do that every one of them.
It's good. Oh, I could be watching a Voltar video.
Right, almost, right? So I try to do something. So then you come back, and you don't even have to have like a desoldering tool. You can just do solder braid is better. Like, that's how you go in and clean all that. So that's what I was doing yesterday, and it just came out so well. I was very happy with it. So that will be this TV that you see in here. Messed up everything here.
How many, if you could give us a rough estimate, how many hours did that all up did you work on that set for?
Let's get over here. Probably 6 hours. Of course, the reason that's extremely cut down is because now this is the like 4th or 5th one of these this year that I've recapped. So I have the cap kit stuff all documented. It's a lot quicker. So I know what to expect. Same thing. This is the second RGB mod I've done of this. So it's much quicker. I knew already kind of what I needed to do. Sometimes it can be tricky because you don't know where to put the SCART head. And then you think you have the right spot, and you're kind of stuck with the head spot in there because you carve it out. And it could be a real pain in the neck to like get it actually closed up. I've had that. Usually the first ones are much harder, take much more time, 2 more hours generally.
Well, that's the old saying, you don't pay the carpenter to hit the nail. You pay the carpenter because he knows where to hit the nail. And that's what you've done. Even with your experience, that's a solid day's work still.
Yeah.
To do that set, right? That's a full day's work.
Yeah. And look, if anybody is coming and wants to buy these things, all I'm doing is I'm giving away the CRTs for free, but I'm charging you for the deluxe retro tech restorations, basically. So
for your day's work.
Like this one's probably going to be $600, right? That's a great.
But it's guaranteed. I mean, that's
and if you brought me this one, it would cost you basically that much to get it all redone and add the RGB. Now these things we've talked about vary, but even the other ones, all the PVMs and BVMs are just basically the costs like this. That's how it will be. And again, like the other one will be $400, the JVC, just the cost of time and parts. And so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this all goes. But this one particularly, I really love it. And it's not the only one though that's RGB modded that I'm bringing.
Okay, that's 14-inch, sorry, or
14-inch? Yeah, and this one does have that flat screen, stereo audio, as I said, which I don't know if anybody cares about that, but. And
I think so. I think it. I'll relate my experiences here. So this week, this monitor that is in the background, which maybe I can turn back on, where we can see the Mr. menu that's loaded up on this VGA screen in the background that I just lit up there. So that's a Sony VGA monitor, 17-inch, little bit dim, could use some adjustment, but still looking quite nice. But it's got built-in speakers, and not only built-in speakers, 2 side speakers and a 10-watt subwoofer underneath, and it slaps. It's awesome. It sounds so nice to just have it all built in, that convenience. It sounds better than the boombox. I've got a Sony boombox that I usually use for the BVM to get sound out of, and it sounds way better than the boombox. So there's something to be said for that experience. And yeah, if you want to actually, because if you don't have speakers, you got to have some boombox, you got to have some other speakers around, you got another solution. That's a very nice set that you could put in your games room, in your private room, and also hook up a VHS if you want that authentic experience.
And these all are going to be, they're easy to move. They're light. This thing is pretty light. I mean, I want to say it's like, no way is it even 30 pounds, it feels like. And so it's got nice handles on the back. It's easy, to haul around. It fits. I don't think that there's going to be a problem getting rid of some of these. We'll see. I've never tried to actually bring and sell RGB modded ones before. I think last time it was just all little bit serviced ones. So we'll see how it goes. This is number 1.
Oh, what else do we got? Okay, so let's go through some other sets.
All right, cool, yeah. Right. So that's the first one. Let me go get another one.
He's going to go get the rest. Yeah, that size. So I'm in my little setup here, the one that we can see in the background that I'll light up there again. That's 17-inch. And that was like manageable. I live 5 stories up with no elevator. So I got to carry this thing up like Hercules taking the boulder up the mountain. I've got the 20-inch BVM there as well, and that's not lit up, but it's right there, and it's heavy as hell. I got to get it more fit before I can haul that thing up and down a few more times. So there is certainly something to be said for manageability of your set. And I'll show you as well. This is the other one I picked up. I think Steve's got something similar. This is a 14-inch Trinitron. Very nice consumer set. Composite looks good. It's got SCART on the back as well. That looks nice. But, it's easy. Look, doing my workouts. something to be said for being able to use it. So, now Steve, you've got. Oh wait, he can't hear me. Steve's got pretty much exactly the same one. So he puts his. So I've got matching. We got matching CRTs, guys.
Here we go. Look at yours
We've
versus
got
mine.
matching CRTs.
I know. Yours
What
actually
size is that?
Mine's a 13 or 13 inch 13 TR28 KV.
Oh, well, mine says 14, but is it that Sony thing where it's the same thing? They just put a different number on it? Like mine's a KV 14 T1R.
Yeah, I don't know. They did so many different things like that. There's like M's and then S's. And I worked on some other one that was like the same chassis as this, but it wasn't a TR. It's not.
Remember when we're talking about those 9 inches, in Europe, those PVMs are called 9-inch, but for you, they're called 8-inch, but they're the same tube. So I don't understand the Sony measuring scheme. So I dare say they are the same.
So we'll just do. So this one has I had to manually put the SCART again here. And this one's got a switch. So you actually have to.
Oh, what does the switch do?
It just turns it on and turns it off. So you could it's still got like the MUX feature where it'll show the board. It just has a manual switch to turn it on and off. The other ones don't have any switch. So they just automatically come on. You could just manually turn this one off.
Wait, sorry. Turn on the RGB or turn on power?
The RGB. Because it shares an input with the composite video. And so you could switch back and forth manually. That's the way you switch it. Use that little selector. Okay. And
right on.
Let's see. So this one's RGB. Let's go
Was
ahead.
that the same MUX board that you installed in this one?
No, this one actually has I had to do this one old school style.
Okay.
Like so it's
chip?
No, it's it's doing the same thing. It's just not plugged in.
Okay.
To the,
and is that it hijacks the on-screen display?
Yes,
is that style of RGB mod?
Yeah, it's doing the same thing. Let me make sure that.
Gotcha. Just a second. Hold on.
Go for it. Let it come on. And let's see. Whoop.
I'll have what you're having. Oh yeah, looking nice. All right.
Okay. Yeah, hang on a second. So the weird thing is there's like a code I figured out with this TV that it does like it'll affect the vertical circuitry if I like have the RGB mod turned off and if I have signal pumped into it. Because it was doing it there. So it's like you just have to usually have to plug it in and turn it on first. And then after it's been plugged in one time, it won't like affect it again. Oh, I turn the power off. Okay, there we go. Let's try it now. Okay. No, anyway, let's see. But anyway, you click that switch.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're all Chris is in the chat, he's trying to understand as well. We're all trying to understand. So
Like what?
you flick the switch, put it in.
Oh. Can't like this silly headphones.
Right, because it's hijacking. Well, I think I know at least on the one I have here, both inputs support the OSD. There is an OSD.
SCART. You gotta love SCART.
Input. Actually, while Steve's doing that, oh yeah, look at that butt. Give me some of that butt. Big nutter butt. I have an odd.
There we go.
Thing. There we go. We got it up. So run us through again, just so we're clear. Oh wait, Steve can't hear us. So Steve, run us through again. So the switches. So we have the SCART plugged in. If we switch that off, then we could use composite. Is that right?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
See. Well, now it's going and switching back and forth. I must have something loose on my SCART head, maybe. But
they're temperamental like that.
I know, right? Like, every time I plug them in and disconnect them, it's like they want to lose a.
I know. I get all like fanboy Euro, but they're ugly and they can often have issues. They're a means to an end.
Yeah, like if I turn it like this, now it's just it would be composite video.
Okay.
So that's like it only has 2 inputs on it. It has a front input and a back input and an RF. So it has to be on the back input and the switch has to be turned on for it to be engaged. And the switch is just wired in telling it to go over into the OSD, right? Instead of that. But then
so there's no composite on the back.
You can see
is that right?
there is composite on the back, yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
So there's 2 composites. This is just using composite input number 2. And there you go. You get like this way you could use the menu while you have SCART in it.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But the only downfall to this one is it's extremely sensitive if you bang on the top of it, like and the sides.
Okay.
And I've done everything to reinforce everything, but I think that's also got something to do with the SCART head. It's not generally that bad. Maybe I'm coming out of the back of the console too.
Sure, if I've just
but that's what like if you. It's not usually that bad. That's kind of wild. But once you get it set, it doesn't. But if you move it around a lot, it's kind of crazy. It shouldn't be that. Anyway. This one will be there too. And I'll make sure it's whatever. It's fine. But this one's been recapped and it's got the kit installed.
Mm-hmm.
And so there we go.
Has that monitor got the service menu?
Yes, but it's kind of limited.
It is. The reason I'm asking that, Steve, is because the one that I was showing a moment ago, the 14T1R I have, has a service menu. We discussed in the last stream that I was having a problem getting into it. Hey, P017, hey, man. I was having problems getting into the service menu. I eventually worked it out, got into the service menu, and it's quite good for a consumer set. I've got the geometry controls up and down and left and a little bit of this way and a little bit of that way, and it's good. What I discovered, though, was that I can't change the geometry when I've got a 60 hertz signal going into it. So I usually use NTSC or 60 hertz by the time it comes out as RGBS. And I loaded the service menu and it wouldn't let me, I can get in there, but it won't let me change any of the numbers. And I'm pulling my hair out. Why doesn't this service menu work? And then for some reason, I don't know why, I went to Mr. Core, SNES Mr. Core, and I switched it to force it to PAL. And again, going back with it, it's not really PAL, it just means 50 hertz because we're doing it over RGB SCART. And when I forced it to 50 hertz, then the service menu worked. And then I could adjust the values up and down. So what I had to do was kind of eyeball it a bit, adjust it in PAL, and then switch the Mr. Core back to 60 hertz and go like, oh, yeah, okay, a little bit more left. So very odd functionality of the service menu.
Yeah, and there's some of these, like this one has features that you can't even change. It's listed in there. And it's listed in the manual, but then you get into the setting and it doesn't actually do anything. And it's not a problem with the TV. It just doesn't actually do what it says it can do. Like, you can't adjust the horizontal size on the set.
Oh, really?
There's no pin cushion controls, even though they're listed in there. There's no actual controls in there. And some people are asking, again, this one did not have the MUX board on it. It's not a problem with the MUX kit because I went through it. I tidied all that up, though. If it is, PO17, probably either a solder joint or a weakness in my SCART cable where there's where that is going in from sync. That happens sometimes where it's just, again, plugging it in and out. I've had to open the SCART cable so many times, but I'll check all that before I go
like that.
Friday.
I would say you're talking about in the service menu, some of the options just didn't do anything. On the one that I showed, similar experience. I could change horizontal. I think pin cushion I can also change, but there were other options that just didn't do anything. So I don't know if they were not a RGB thing or something, but I agree. The service menu in these things seems to be a little bit flaky.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, this is early mid-90s stuff, so it's like they were still making PVMs at this point without service menus, surprisingly. So I just there's a level of simplicity to them also that you don't get the controllability really with them. It's surprising. I was really blown away that you could not adjust like the horizontal pin cushion, and I don't know how they got it to where you could just put it on there and it just send it out and it's just like good enough for all the TVs, like one setting. It's kind of crazy.
It seems weird. Like, why is that? Yeah, why is that not there? Have you got the remote? Because otherwise, they're pretty easy to get, those remotes. Yeah. But have you got the remote for that?
Yeah,
there you go.
They both come with the remote, the regular remote.
Okay,
so
nice. It is nice. I'm a bit of a Sony fanboy, and I like the look of that. To me, that's something why I was attracted to the one I got. It just looks the part to my eyes.
So since this one doesn't have the Mux board, it's going to be a little bit less than the other one, and it doesn't have the inputs and stuff like that other one. But I'll pull another real quickly. I think we've gone through just about everything else that's available. The two big ones were these two. The other ones, the other ones were the two we talked about last stream, the PVM and the BVM, the little 8 and 5 inch one. Those will be available. And then the 3 sets you saw today. And then I'm going to have one more that's not even going to be a CRT. I'm going to bring that. If anybody complains and wants a cheap PVM, I'll have one for you. It's going to be the 14 inch or 2. It's going to be the first
now we did a whole
LCD
stream.
PVM on the
back in the day. We did a whole with Bob. We
right, you can have
thing.
me and Bob autograph it too if you want, for free. We won't even charge you
so
this.
It's an LCD, and it really goes to show the evolution of the technology. That it's one of the first LCD PVMs, and it's not good.
It's terrible.
Those were never good to begin with. Even the top of the line LCD to begin with.
Yeah, it was quite a terrible, really bad monitor, like extremely bad. So I've seen a couple times people posted pictures of it and I'm like, what are you doing on that thing? So somebody will think they can play
my thrift store has a Sony, a very nice Sony flat, like the early LCD Sony, and it looks like nice. The design looks really cool, and it's $5, but I'm like, I'll never use it. It looks terrible. Like I just like the industrial design of it, but I haven't bought it just because I know I'll never turn that thing on.
Yeah, that's kind of like I'm having to a lot of these things, that's what I'm like, man, I need like unbeknownst timing on this engine problem. But I was like, there's some things, I don't know whether I'm going to throw in a couple extra things to try to offload at the show or something, just because I should clear out the space. And I shouldn't have TVs that just sit here and like the LMD. Like, what else am I going to do with that? Like, that flat screen. I've already done videos on it. I've already researched it. And it literally just sits in the corner. I'd rather have it not just sit there. So if somebody else wants to use it, they can. If not, I'll just pack it back up and
I would
laugh
imagine
about it.
maybe someone, you don't really want to play on it, but maybe it's a piece. Maybe it uses a digital photo frame, and you've got that cool PVM. Again, you can take the industrial design aesthetic, but make it a digital photo frame or something.
Yeah, you could definitely do anything. I mean, you could use it as a video playback easily for anything. It's still got I mean, it could still be done for that, but it's yeah. No, it will be closer to like the lag. The lag will be the price on it. I don't know. I'm joking. But yeah. So that's the load. That's the lot. It's kind of I don't think there's. Oh yeah, you can get it. That's the same CRT that's in this picture.
It is iconic.
Right. There's the remote, and there's this whole thing. Vertical size, yep, you could change that. Not vertical.
Yeah, can the LMD take 480p, Steve? That was what P07 was asking.
I don't think so.
Only interlaced.
It's so garbage. It's not. Terrible. It's literally analog. That was the funny thing about it is it was analog only. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I swear I tested all that. So if I don't know. I don't even really want to waste the time looking at it again, but we'll see.
Yeah, we don't want it. So I'll tell you the little story about this VGA monitor that's here. The colors are off now.
Yeah, what's going on with it? It looks like there's no blue.
It's the plug. Yeah, it's just the plug. That's all. Wait.
It looks like you have no blue in your picture.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just the old VGA plug at the end. If I gotta just replace the screws. I think the screws are a bit corroded and I can't get them in. But anyway, so the story goes that this dude locally here in Thailand contacts me and he's like, yo, I've heard you're into CRTs. Can you help me find a CRT monitor? And he wanted a VGA monitor. And also, as I understood, he wants something like quite high end because he wants to play like PC games on it. So not just your retro VGA. And I was giving him some advice and I said, hey man, just post online. Like just write everywhere you can, say, hey, and write like, hey, I've got money. Because everyone around here, none of these cheap ass have got money. So anyway, if you got $50, the monitor is always yours because nobody wants to, they all want it, but they don't want to pay. So this dude, this dude writes all these messages and this older dude writes back and he's got like this like simple HTML website with his like lists all these CRTs. And he's just this genuinely nice old dude who collects CRTs. And I got the contact and I wrote him and he said, do you want any of them? And I'm like, yeah, sir, that Trinitron looks beautiful with the speakers. I would love that. So he said, yeah, come on over. So we went there. He's got a nice old house. He's a nice gentleman. He's got this old shed, like it's this really old shed. He's got all the monitors laid out there and he like showed it to me. He's like, oh, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, really, I'll take it no matter what. And he didn't even want any money for it. Like he was so nice. And eventually I was like, come on, man, let me give you $20 for beer or something at least. Like he was so nice. Like he just, I don't know. Maybe he was like an older guy and he's just like, what's he going to do with it? So he was happy to have somebody else take it. And I'm like, I'll certainly put it to good use, sir. So that was a very nice interaction to find that guy. He was a very generous, nice dude. And yeah, now I've got this beautiful VGA. And now I have the conundrum of, and maybe the people in the chat can chime in as well. If you could play Mister on a VGA monitor or a consumer CRT, what's your preferred way to play Mister? And I mean through the analog I/O board. So do you play at direct 15 kilohertz straight out into that consumer TV? You get the scan lines, you get maybe a little blurry composite or something like that. Or connect up the VGA monitor. Then you've got to do scan line doubler. But then you don't get scan lines anymore, but you can display it on this nice VGA monitor. I've got nice speakers, no scan lines. But then also I have the convenience that if you play Mr. 480p on this thing, for the arcade games that are tate mode, you can, because you're using the scan doubler, you can auto rotate it. So I have that. So I wonder anyone's in the chat, if you're using Mister, do you prefer to play Mister on a scan doubled VGA CRT, or just straight up 15 kilohertz. So again, Steve, you've only got the one Mister, and that's directly in the is Big Red set up right now?
No, I'm still waiting. I haven't set Big Red up, no. And I've been waiting for Taki Udon to release this Mr. Kit that's going to be like $200 or less or something, just to get it and add it and see. I also was going to be at the show this weekend, so there's a good chance to test out a bunch of Mr. stuff. I had asked Bob to bring anything that he had to try to set up on the PVMs or whatever the stuff. I haven't. So aside from, let's see, going out of that, through the JAMA, that's about it.
Okay.
For me.
Which is coming out at 15, right? So coming out at the 15 kilohertz. So, and that's great. I mean, that's a beautiful setup you have there. So I guess it'll be cool to see those new boards and how cheap they're coming in, because there are a few boards already. Like Antonio Villena has his board. They're still coming in at like 400, 500 for a whole set, and that's fine. I'm not knocking anyone and their premium offerings, but I think a bunch of us are waiting for that cheaper Mister variant that'll like at the $100, $120 range. Then we're more likely to buy that as the second backup one. That kind of feels like the situation you're in, Steve.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are gonna be looking at, is like a backup or something. It's just I don't know. It's they're all the vast majority of them are $500 kind of feeling or more, and I totally understand they're worth that. But then you have somebody coming out and say they're making a super cheap one, and then everybody's like, "Oh my goodness!" Right? I mean, if it's like half or less the price, then everybody's waiting for one. So I'm sure that thing's going to sell out. Like, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. I'm going to miss the day. I'm going to be traveling or something the day he finally sells it, and then it's going to be gone, and then it's going to be like, all right, great. So
100% they're going to be very popular, I'm sure.
Plus, there's something to be said. A lot of these guys who've already made these kits, have already released them to the public. They're priced the way they are for a reason. And who's to say that, this is a new product? People have great ambitions with new things, but I don't know if it's actually something where they're cutting the lines too close, and it may be
whether it's actually achievable to get that price.
Well, whether you do it and something happens. It's a newer product, so it's got the kind of the possibility of something. And I don't know anything, but for most of this, go ahead.
Going to be very interesting. I think maybe I'll get a second one or something like that. Going to the chat here for a little bit. So Sarah Leon, he's using component to VGA adapter to play GameCube Wii on a VGA monitor. So has that nice 480p look. So Sarah Leon, so tell us about this component to VGA. So it's doing a line doubling, I guess, something like that, something like the GBSC does. Jake was saying he uses the GBSC to line double. The GBSC, I love it, but it's less useful than I think it's often made out to be. It's really just good at doing like line doubling up to 480p. It's not that great at going down to 240p. But that use case of taking line doubling up to 480p there, it's very good at. So I can imagine that would be good at. P017 loves the 240p on the big thing. 240p on 480p on the Dell is nice. GameCube, Dreamcast.
Yep. Those are all really good. If the Dreamcast, that's that good 480p sweet spot. That, and then using a GBSC with a VGA monitor. I mean, that's kind of a cheat code for, like, I guess still a way to get a really high-end setup that does a lot of things for pretty cheap, because you could still relatively somewhat, most people can still probably find a VGA 480p monitor somewhere for cheaper, and then you can buy the cheaper scaler. And I haven't heard much of anybody doing anything recently with that project, though, right? It's nothing new coming out of it.
GBSC, no, that was the Rama, and I don't understand where it's working, but no, that hasn't had any evolution for a number of years now, I think.
So you kind of get what you're getting there. And
you made a good point, though, about that. I would broadly agree as well. Like, if you look around, you can probably find a VGA, some sort of VGA CRT, and it's probably like pretty good, like reasonable. Like, where you might have a lot of problems with the consumer set and the geometry's gone crazy and this and that. I'm looking at these VGA monitors. I'm like, it looks like a piece of crap on the outside, but it's still, the geometry's looking good. Like, they tend to have held up reasonably well.
I think the problem for those is they are probably the ugliest of all CRT categories. From a looks, I'm not lying. From a look standpoint, PC CRTs for the most part are just uglier than any other CRT. Yeah. So, but like you say, they usually have, since they're 480p, they're going to have a higher range of signals, higher refresh rates, and generally speaking, they all have, not all of them, but a good portion of ones will have good little menus to easily work through and change geometry pretty quickly right on the front of them. A lot of them do. It's literally just and they're very difficult, I will say, because they run at different screen refresh rates. Usually they're a different thing to try to photograph or video or anything than these older sets, but I think that's probably one of the big things, just how ugly they are aesthetically.
That's why I jumped on this one, because it's a Trinitron, and it's a dark gray. It looks quite nice in person, a rare color, not that beige that everything else was of that generation. So yeah, it's got the on-screen displays as well built in straight away, so it's quite easy to move about and change. Yeah, there's something to be said for them, I think. It looks
and
stand the look.
If you're gonna, as people are saying about, if you're gonna pay money for them, you should be able to test them. If it's like $30 or less, you're just taking a swinger, okay, but I'd still want it at least powered on. And you don't even, most of the good thing is with the PC CRTs also, you don't even have to put a signal into them generally. They'll generally turn on and display red, green, and blue and some message.
Oh, yeah.
So you could just turn it on and see if it has all three colors right then. And generally, if you'll see something in the black background, if there's a problem. So the biggest pain in the neck thing with the PC CRTs, though, is trying to get inside them generally. They all have weird ways of locking the plastic to try to get you from not getting into them. Whereas like these things are pop some screws out and it just pulls out. Those are usually like pop screw out, push in, secret point here to pop plastic. And you're just like, what the heck? And you end up, it takes a long time to get inside them. But if you're not worried about that, then...
Yeah, much harder to work on, I would say. And and also about what you could do. The Xbox 360 is an absolute sleeper for VGA. It's got a dedicated VGA cable that you can get, and it looks amazing. It'll do 480p. It'll also go to some higher resolutions, 1280 by 7 something, blah blah blah. But it'll go like higher than that. The Xbox will go higher. It'll look really nice. Because that generation of console, I have found, is a little bit weird when they were transitioning from 480i or 240p to before we got HDMI, shit's a little bit weird. So Xbox did it well. Xbox 360 has a dedicated VGA cable, and it looks great. PS2, no real VGA option. You've really got to take component and line double it yourself with a GBSC. And the weirdest one for me is the Wii. I came across this Wii VGA cable. But Wii has this thing where you can't just run VGA. Like, if you remember the Wii options, you've got to select 480i or 480p. So if I just plug a Wii directly into the VGA monitor, it doesn't work. Because I can't put it in 480i to then select 480p. Like, your monitor needs to accept both 480i and 480p for you to use it on a Wii. And the cable that I got, it's a solution to that, is that this Wii VGA cable also has a composite out on there as well. And you can then feed that into maybe an auxiliary port, or I had to use a whole separate TV. So I've got the signal going to 2 TVs, which usually wouldn't be great, but just for a little while is fine. And I sent it to the BVM just so I could get it loaded into 480i, then use that option to select, no, I want 480p output. Then it turned up on the VGA monitor. Bit of a act to get that going. And I don't even love the Wii in 480p either. So bit of a weak spot that generation.
Yes, yeah. And we're actually, it's definitely a weird generation, but thankfully, like, there are options now to make these PC CRTs usable. Because I do remember when I was like monitor hunting originally the first couple of years, and this would have been ages ago, I would come across these incredibly high-end PC CRTs that were commercial grade, but they were all 480p and above, and nobody really, it was all about scan lines, trying to get 240p into them, and there was no real, just even GBSC to consider. You'd be like, well, am I going to get this thing just to play a Dreamcast on? Because like you say, I've never even seen a Wii VGA cable, but back then you're like, is this the only thing? So I let a lot of monitors walk, like some crazy high-end Barco ones, because they would only do 480p. And because I was like, oh, I'll never have any use for those things. But they're,
it's not obvious. Also, the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 3 doesn't have a dedicated VGA cable either. Your only option is to manually set the PlayStation 3 to output 480p and then use a HDMI to VGA adapter, which is not the worst solution in the world. Pretty straightforward, pretty cheap. But again, they didn't think about 480p at all. So I agree. Back when you were looking at that, Steve, it would have been very confusing. What do I use this big lunk of 480p monitor for?
Yeah, I went to a it was a marketing company in downtown Nashville. They had listed this Barco monitor, and I was like, can I come by and try it out? It was like $300 or something. And they said, sure. And I came by, and gosh, I had the most terrible setup. I had, I just brought my Genesis, and I was just using SCART, and I just plugged in the SCART to BNC adapter, because it did have BNC inputs, but it had split off, obviously, H and V for sync. And I was like, oh, I don't know, it's just not working. And they're like, what are you trying to do with that thing? They were like watching me. And I was like, oh, I can't get it to show up, so sorry, I'm not interested in buying it. But it was just one of those weird things where, gosh, I think that was probably before I had even bought my first PVM or BVM, as I tried to find something locally. And no one cared back then.
Right. And now we've got the even better options. You could just take your Mister in now. Set the Mister up. It can output 15 kilohertz. It could do 480p or some sort of scan double signal. And you can even run the Mister off a battery. I'm pretty sure you could just run it off a USB battery for a little while. Like, you wouldn't even need to plug it in the wall.
What if you could run it off like a portable solar panel, give you enough ampere or watts? I don't know. I
found it doesn't need that much.
Yeah. So
like, if you're not running all the extra stuff like hard drives and USBs and stuff like that, it doesn't need that much.
Yeah, we would. That would be a fun test. We should get. Well, speaking of which, it's like I'm waiting for Shank to somehow come out with like the retro TV. I don't know whether that's what he's trying to make. He's taken everything and turning it into a BVM card. So hopefully, maybe he'll just come out with like, if Siri put the retro tink in a BVM. So it seems like, well, that's just making the TV. He just needs to go find the right display screen and put his card in it, and then he's basically made the new retro TV, right? So, yeah, but
I All right, Steve. I better wrap it up
I was
soon.
going to say, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
know.
I was to say that's probably good enough for this stream. I got to get the ball rolling. The clock is ticking.
What do you got this afternoon? What's on, Steve?
Oh, I'm still working on compiling things up. I've got to get some documentation put together on all these TVs to have. I'll have little QR codes on a piece of paper on each TV where you'll be able to go and see all the restoration file photos by scanning that. And then I got to get my CRT man tool bag put together, and also just equipment for the workshop.
Okay, getting all together. Very exciting. So we're going to be seeing updates from you. We're going to be getting tweets.
Yeah, tweets will be on there.
So
I'm
we'll
going to be filming a lot
you.
of crap too. Hopefully, like awkward moments with everybody.
I bet,
Right. I'm just going to catch them
on.
all eating breakfast or something. Not they won't know. It'll be like, what the hell is this video even? I'm watching Bobby the Biscuit.
You taking some nice?
Sorry,
are you
biscuit.
taking any of those fine bottles of brown liquid?
Yeah, I'll
Saturday?
take some
you taking
bourbon.
anything?
Yeah, I'll bring some bourbon, make it rain. So watch the Twitter feed. That's what I got to say. So
Absolutely, watch Steve's Twitter feed. So
and you
best
have
of
a
luck.
wonderful time too, Lewis. I wish you could be there, but
I wish I could. Yeah, unfortunately, because I'm already making my third trip to the States. Because I'm doing training with my training partners there at the end of October. So I couldn't make another trip now, unfortunately, and pay for another trip to San Diego at the end of October. So anyway, I get to see San Diego in October. Can't wait for that.
That's much better than Connecticut. Much better than Hartford, Connecticut in August.
But Retro World looks great. Maybe next year. Let's see. Maybe next year's the lucky year, and it's going to be the event of the year. Right on. So thanks everyone in the chat. Thank you all for hanging out, supporting. We appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Well, have a great week, and I hope to see you at the